everyone. Welcome to another Game Vault podcast stream. I'm your host, Mark. We're here for the news hour. It is the last one for August 2025. If you're watching live, if you're listening to this on Monday when it releases on podcast services and YouTube, happy September. Rabbit, or whatever they say at the beginning of every month. So it is kind of amazing how fast this year has gone. We talk about it on Podcast Prime, which will come to you on Wednesday, about how it's ridiculous how many months. I don't know if that was on the podcast or pre-podcast, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So this one's going to be a little shorter than usual, not because it's holiday weekend or anything like that. There's like no news because people are probably enjoying the holiday weekend. There's stuff I could have dove into. D23 happened and all that, but I think strictly for the news that we normally talk about. So, sorry, I had a fantasy football draft. That is why we're late if you're watching live. So, yeah, so I don't know how much to... I guess I'll just do the normal thing because I'm basically going to be rehashing a lot about what you're going to hear on Wednesday. So, but anyway, so what I've been playing... Today I played through some more of Trails in the Sky first chapter demo. So I haven't gotten to the end of it. I think it's going to end after the farm main mission I'm on. Yeah, I gotta say that I like the new battle system thing. The downside to some stuff is that maybe I forgot how difficult it was early on, but I opened the Mimic chest, and that's the hardest fight I've had. Since it's the demo and I'm just going through it, I'm not really caring. I did the restart the fight with them at a lower strength, and then beat it. But yeah, it was a little more difficult than usual. They hit harder. I think I've realized that I needed to put some more defense stuff on people. But, yeah, so we're all beefed up. We did the 2 side quests that they got, and, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to play through probably the full game on the side over many months when it comes out. Not on stream, just privately. Yeah, so I did that today. Most of this weekend, outside of just, chilling holiday barbecue thingies, I played a lot of NCAA Football 26. On my way to my second national championship, hopefully. I'm in the semifinals of the college football playoff with Tulane, Roll Wave. So we're still progressing. I've had a couple... I'm pretty sure it's a bug of some kind, but... that thing where I overthrow the wide receiver and they don't react even though it's well within their range to catch. Like, if I would have, I'm a little lazy that I don't hit circle to control the receiver. I'm going to have to start doing that in some case, and, just to make sure that I catch it. But yeah, it seems like a bug. Like, it's literally, like, sometimes it'll happen and sometimes it won't. There's no rhyme or reason to why. It's not even like a, skill issue from the player, like, stats-wise. So, the game's still great. I love it. Yeah, I had that with, it was either Death Stranding 2 when I went back, or I think it was Expedition 33. I was up to 4 in the morning, platinuming it. Just lose hours. Doing that. But today I mostly chilled a lot, this weekend. So, yeah, just played those 2 games. I don't think I played anything else stream-wise since last week. We beat Mega Man 2 on Monday. That's probably my 3rd or 4th time beating that game. I almost fucked myself in the last battle because I took my E-Tank... I stupidly took my E-Tank before going into the battle instead of taking it in the battle, in the final battle. So I had to play the first form, or I should say the second to last battle, because the alien at the very end is very easy as long as you pay attention to its shooting patterns. Um, I had to play perfectly in the second to last boss fight, to make sure that I got through. Oh, good. Oh. Apologize for the yawning. Um, yeah, so we beat that, and then on Saturday, we played through a little bit of Trails in the Sky second chapter. We'll probably pick that up again tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a stream, unless if I'm at another barbecue tomorrow, but I highly, highly doubt that. So I will go through and play that game, and hopefully we'll get to the next chapter in that game. I might start it at like noon, and we'll play it through the afternoon, and then get to, because in the evening we're going to start Mega Man 3. So give me some time there. So maybe we'll start at noon or something like that. I don't have anything really to do in the morning. So we should be able to get it in. There's no real sports or anything. So it should be good to go there. But I'm excited to start Mega Man 3. And then we'll finish out Trails. And then we, as a stream, Final Fantasy VI is still going on. Tom had to run solo last time. I got to watch that back just to see kind of where he is. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's all I've really been playing. Not much. A lot of stuff is going to start coming out. It's one of our topics on Podcast Prime. And you'll be hearing a lot more stuff that I'm not streaming that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to play a lot of stuff off stream that I won't be playing for you guys for the most part. I think what I'm going to do... Oh, excuse me. I think I'm going to... Any game that's going to end up on my top 10 in December, I think I'm going to play like a montage of them during December. Just so everybody can see them. Or in January after we release the list or something like that. But for the most part, you have already seen 2 games that'll be in my top 5 for sure. And then I'll probably be playing through another one at some point this year. So, yeah. Yeah, so that being said, let's move on to the news. Oh, I hate when this happens. Hold on a second. Why is this not... I pre-did this. There we go. And on to the news. So first up, PlayStation is rumors that their system, PlayStation 6, and there's claims that the handheld for it will be dockable, kind of like the Switch. We're nearly 5 years into the current console cycle, and so it's incredible that rumors are abound. The latest rumor, which deals with an alleged PlayStation 6 handheld console, includes some interesting detail that, if it has basis in reality, could suggest the Nintendo Switch 2 has a competitor on its hands. Moore's Law is dead, which I'm assuming is a commenter or like a somebody on YouTube or something, said in a recent video that this so far unannounced PlayStation 6 handheld will be dockable and backwards compatible with PS4 and PS5 games. The YouTube channel even has information on alleged specs for the device, which apparently includes a 16CU RDNA 5 iGPU clocked at 1.20 gigahertz in handheld mode and 1.65 gigahertz in docked mode. According to the website, the PS6 handheld will cost significantly less than the upcoming Xbox Ally X, age way better, and will be raw performance stronger. The ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X release on August 16th, but Microsoft has not announced the price. Yeah, so it looks like the success of Switch 2 and Switch really has these companies trying to find a handheld solution. whether it's Xbox's going with a third party and attaching Game Pass to it, which I guess would save internal costs because they're not actually producing the hardware, or PlayStation doing it all like a new console release and probably having more control over how powerful the device is. Either way, I think it's the right thing to do with a lot more kids playing more on like iPads and screens and stuff like that, and not so much hooking up a computer or something to a TV and playing it. So I think having a handheld device that's on par with what the Switch has power wise is probably the right move for both Microsoft and Sony. So we'll see. This seems interesting, and I would be interested. I'd be probably more interested um, in this because Sony tends to do better with handhelds than they're given credit for. The PSP, while weird and UMD stuff, was still pretty good, and backwards compatible stuff on there was great. I played through parts of FF7 and a couple Resident Evils all the way through on a PSP I had. And I've never had a Vita, but I hear, yeah, yeah. So, and if you add Steam to it, as Goat says, it's just, I think Steam knows the Steam Deck will sell no matter if they put Steam on other devices or not, as long as their device is the best. So, yeah, look out for that as we are going to start getting rumors about both systems coming out with stuff. Nintendo has reportedly set a direct for September, and most likely probably Metroid Prime 4 and a 40th anniversary for Mario, which would be this year? I think it's this year. But anyway, a fresh Nintendo Direct broadcast will air in September, according to a new report. Speculation around the next major Nintendo Direct date has been rife, following a series of other presentations over the past few months focusing on third-party games or individual titles. In a recent deep dive on Kirby Air Riders, including a recent deep dive on Kirby Air Riders. Now, Video Games Chronicle has said it heard of a mid-September date for the next Direct. Such a showing would be timely, as several major questions currently hang in the air for Nintendo fans, including, most importantly, a release date for Metroid Prime 4. Previously promised to arrive in 2025, Nintendo has not shown anything new of the long-awaited Metroid Prime 4 since the Switch 2's full unveiling back in April. The silence has led some to fear the game could suffer a fresh delay, something Nintendo will likely want to avoid if possible. And then there's the small matter of Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary, which comes at an interesting time for Nintendo's mascot Plumber. Nintendo celebrated the game's 35-year anniversary with its time-limited Super Mario 3D All-Stars package and Super Mario Bros. 35, plus the opening of the first Super Nintendo World theme park. How will Nintendo celebrate Super Mario Bros. 40th? Well, we already know that the coming year will include the launch of the Nintendo and Universal Studios Super Mario Bros. Movie sequel. On the game front, what plans Nintendo might have remains to be seen, but there are other 3D Mario games Nintendo could serve up for a fresh release if it so chooses. Could we even see a glimpse of Switch 2's big new 3D Mario? So a lot of curious things abound with Nintendo here. It's weird that they haven't mentioned anything about Prime 4 at all recently. So it's curious to see where that goes in terms of is it delayed, or will they do something in September and release it 2 months later? I think that's more likely. And then for 40th anniversary, I imagine they're going to do some kind of collection thing that's like exclusive to Switch 2. I would like it to be everything, but I think they're going to try and like tie it to Switch 2 for that, and then they'll release some online thing as well. So it'll be interesting. I would be shocked if they didn't do a video game thing for Mario's 40th anniversary. And so we'll see. Got some time here for the end of the year for that. Next up, yes, another Clair Obscur game is coming. Expedition 33 is one of the stories that we want to tell in the franchise, the director teased. Good news, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 fans. Clair Obscur is not just the shortened name for developer Sandfall Interactive's blockbuster RPG, it is also the name for the entire franchise. Clair Obscur is the franchise name. Expedition 33 is one of the stories that we want to tell in this franchise. Director Guillermo Brochet told Mr. Matty Plays in an interview. Exactly what it would look like and what the concept will be is still too soon to announce, but what is sure is that this is not the end of the Clair Obscur franchise. And if that wasn't quite obvious for you, he also specifically talked about his process for when he writes sequels too, leaving us with little doubt that a follow-up game is on the way. Watch this space for details. So, as you might all know, Clair Obscur Season 33 is my game of the year at the moment. I honestly do not see anything knocking it off unless there's something comes out of nowhere in the fall. There's no game I've played since. Death Stranding 2 didn't come close. I don't have a Switch 2, so I can't have Donkey Kong, which might be one of the games that'll knock it off the Game Awards win. But I think that game is transcendent. I think it's one of the best of a generation, and I think we're going to remember it for years to come. And I don't know what other game coming out this year will top that. So I'm excited. Let's see if they can do this. If they can get a second game in this franchise out and make it just as good. But I have faith that it will be at least a good game, whatever they send out. I don't know if it'll have the same impact because of how different Expedition 33 was. But we'll see. Until they prove us wrong, I gotta have faith that they'll be able to deliver. So I'm looking forward to anything in this series. Next up, a little update on Resident Evil Requiem. Whether Leon is in the game or not, Resident Evil Requiem is more than just a backwards-looking nostalgia fest, Capcom says. And it wasn't originally planned as a 30th anniversary release. Regardless of what has been said about the game to date, Resident Evil Requiem's director and producer want you to know that the title, scheduled for release in 2026, the series' 30th anniversary, has more going on than a simple focus on nostalgia. It is perhaps an odd thing to hear, as Capcom itself has highlighted how Resident Evil Requiem will return to the survival horror series' roots back in Raccoon City after several games set elsewhere. And it'll be there, in the crumbling remnants of the series' past, that Capcom also promised players will find answers to lingering story threads and open questions from decades ago. But despite all this, and despite the huge ongoing speculation over Leon S. Kennedy's potential presence in the game, something Capcom specifically declined to comment on to IGN, Capcom is keen for Requiem to be seen as more than just a look back into the franchise's past. Speaking to IGN last week at Gamescom, in a question specifically about the current focus of fan debate, producer Masato Kumazawa made it clear that Requiem would end up being as much about the series' future as well as its origins. We love checking out the conversations that are happening, Kumazawa said, but this isn't a game which is entirely focused on looking back. And we're back in Raccoon City, but that's not the only location in the game. And then they also revealed, his quote here, "It's coming out in the 30th anniversary, but it wasn't planned that way. It just ended up with the development, and with the development was finished, and the game is ready to release in 2026, which is the 30th anniversary. It wasn't built to be an anniversary title that is only backwards facing. So there is a lot more to the game than just the series' legacy. We didn't call it Resident Evil 9 after all. There's a clue in the logo type, but ultimately the name is Resident Evil Requiem." yeah, so still no exclusive questions answered. Yeah, and Goat, I would recommend if you haven't played an RE since the first one, I would go to the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes rather than playing the originals. Just because the controls will be frustrating. Tank controls are hard to go back to if you didn't play them when they were popular. But the remakes are fantastic, so I do recommend that. Even the 4 remaster is really, really good. But yeah, so I'm excited for this game. The I'm curious to see how they tie everything together. If all 9 games are still in the same universe, sort of. And it's just it's got to be tough linking 9 games together, and they've done this good job so far through the 8. Not a great job, but a good job. There's some, like they said, loose ends and stuff, and things that it's just like trust us sort of connection. So I'm interested in what Requiem is. It looks good from all the trailers I've seen. It does look like it's more back to the horror roots than the goofiness that was Village and the tense stuff that 7 was. But yeah, I'm eager to see what they do here. Moving on. Next up, Hideo Kojima already wrote the concept for Death Stranding 3, but isn't making it right now. I hope that someone would create it for me. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, the sequel to Hideo Kojima's 2019 hit, Death Stranding, was well received at launch. It's incredibly exciting and original, and a bold work that deserves to be encouraged, at least according to IGN's review. As a result, fans might be hoping for an eventual third game in the series, but for right now, Kojima isn't planning to make Death Stranding 3, even though he's already has a concept written. Kojima said this in an interview in Saudi Arabia as part of the Death Stranding 2 World Strand Tour. When asked by the interviewer about Death Stranding 3, he replied with the following: I am not planning to do that at the moment because the ending of Death Stranding 2 was my finale of 1 and 2. But I also wrote the concept of DS3, so I have that in data. I hope that someone would create it for me. This isn't the first time Kojima suggested that someone else might pick up the mantle of his games after him. Back in May, he said that he'd been thinking more and more about his own death lately, prompting him to create a USB stick, kind of like a will, that lays out the future of his studio, Kojima Productions, if he dies. I gave a USB stick with all my ideas on it to my personal assistant, kind of like a will, he said. Perhaps they could continue to make things after I'm gone at Kojima Productions. This is a fear for me. What happens to Kojima Productions after I'm gone? I don't want them to just manage our existing IP. While we won't be getting a Death Stranding 3 anytime soon, it sounds like there's plenty coming from Kojima's mind in the near future. Death Stranding is getting a live-action film adaptation in partnership with A24, and Kojima is busy working on 2 different games: Horror Project OD in collaboration with Xbox, and Metal Gear successor Fiznit. Yeah, so yeah, and so essentially here with Kojima, the man thinks deeply about everything. So no surprise that he has a USB stick that is sort of acting like a will. But I'm excited to see whatever he does next. He's got a pretty good hit rate with me. There's some things that don't mesh that I didn't really, enjoy. But for the most part, I've had good time with every single one of his games. So I'm not worried about the future. I'd be interested to see the first game after his passing, just to see how much was him tinkering with everything. So, but hopefully that is not anytime soon. And as Goat says in the chat here, I will say I've enjoyed my time with Silent Hills, but I guess I just played all the Resident Evils. Not that I really had an opinion one over the other, but yeah. I can see how people could lean that way. All right. Next up, this is a story directly for Goat because he literally mentioned it before we started the stream. Xbox newcomers are thanking veteran Helldivers 2 players for helping them out, and player numbers are seeing a massive boost as a result. In one of the more wholesome video game stories of the year, veteran Helldivers 2 players who've seen and done it all on PC and PlayStation 5 are helping out Xbox newcomers with player numbers hitting the new heights. Arrowhead's Sony-published third-person shooter, co-op shooter, launched on Xbox Series X and S this week. And according to the CEO of the developer, concurrence hit an incredible 590,000 players across all platforms. But Helldivers 2 community is celebrating another milestone, the coming together of all players to help out new recruits on Xbox. Helldivers 2, as anyone who has played it for more than a few hours will know, can be a panic-inducing experience, with deliberately fussy controls and a level of complexity that can make what starts out as an easygoing mission quickly descend into chaos. Helldivers 2 focus on physics-driven gameplay and friendly fire being on can also create an intimidating experience for newcomers. This is what fans of the game love about it and what newcomers via Xbox are now getting to grips with. So it's great to see that the Helldivers subreddit, Discord, and social media channels littered with tales from players who are either thanking others for their co-op hand-holding or just bigging up the community for being so helpful overall. So yeah, so this is a great thing. So Goat, our very own Goat here, is one of these people that has been helping out the Xbox players. And he agrees that yes, straight chaos and rage inducing, but it's good to see in a community, not Helldivers 2, but video game community overall, where there's a lot of gatekeeping and a lot of just get good. I'm not going to help you. It's nice to see that a community has decided that, no, we're gonna help. This is a fun game to play together, to play co-op, and we're gonna help you out. You guys are new. It's a lot better if you're dragged through some of the early stuff with a helping hand. So it's one of the most feel-good stories of the year, and I'm glad that we can always check in every so often with our very own Helldivers 2 player, Goat here, and just see how things are going. But yeah, as he said, he played 10 hours today helping out Xbox players, and if that's not dedication and love for the game, I don't know what is. So this will be fun to see it carry forward. And finally, Sony announced its PlayStation Plus monthly games for September. Sony has announced its PlayStation Plus monthly lineup of games for September 2025, which includes an Xbox-published title and a hugely popular farming sim. Further solidifying the friendship between Xbox and PlayStation, next month's list is headlined by Psychonauts 2, the platform adventure from Tim Schafer's Double Fine Studios, which is of course owned by Microsoft. The quirky sequel launched to positive reviews, and no, you don't need to have played the first one. Next up is Stardew Valley, the charming life and farming simulation, which really doesn't need much introduction. If you don't yet own a copy or 3 of this beloved indie game, now's your chance to see what all the fuss is about. Just don't expect to do anything else for the next dozen hours, as it gets its hooks in you. Finally, there's Viewfinder, a mix of photo and first-person puzzle game that was well received in the title lost in 2023. I played the demo of that. That was pretty good. And boggled all of our brains with its perspective warping and levels and extremely smart gameplay. So if you have PlayStation Plus, just the regular version, you can pick up Psychonauts 2, Stardew Valley, and Viewfinder. All these games will be available tomorrow. And if you're listening to this today, make sure that you pick up Lies of P, definitely from last month. The other 2 games, there's DayZ and My Hero 1's Justice 2. If you want those, I just add them to my library, but 100% make sure you pick up Lies of P. Some of these, the one thing I like about the PlayStation Plus monthly is they've been getting pretty good at having at least one game that you absolutely want in your collection. Um, Microsoft has dropped that ball for a while before they stopped doing the free monthly games and to just focus on Game Pass. So, yeah, that'll do it for us here. Thank you for joining me. Um, yeah, it has been fun as always. Just some housekeeping here. Tonight or today, whenever you listen to this, I'm probably either currently live on Twitch or will be live. And then I am going to take a break and then come back for Mega Man in the evening. I'm going to start Mega Man 3. And then on Thursday, Podcast Prime will come out, which is our monthly podcast with me, Jen, and Tom, where we just catch up on what we've been playing, talk about big stories. This week we talk about what we're looking forward to through the rest of the year, video game-wise, and then talk a little bit about Extra Life, and then play a fun game that a friend of the podcast, Jonathan, set up for us. And we also talked about last month's Game Club monthly game, which was Automobile Lamborghini for the Nintendo 64. So if you haven't played it yet, you have a couple more days to play it. And then you can listen to our review of it. And then on Thursday, we have Final Fantasy VI. Friday will be the return of Friday Night Lights, where Game Vaulty will continue his quarterbacking career. And then we'll have, I can't want to say Tales. Trails in the Sky. We'll try to play it 2 days next week. I'll definitely at least get it in one, but I'll try two. This weekend was weird because I did have barbecues and things and fantasy football drafts and all that. So, but yeah, so that is the plan going forward. So thank you all for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye.